Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm LeetCoder. If you guys are new to my channel, make sure you guys subscribe. Pretty much what I do LeetCode style questions and try to explain things in the most simplistic way possible. So yeah, today I have a very interesting problem for you guys called valid palindrome, right? So it's a pretty good problem. So let's get into it really quick, right? So it says we're giving a string, right? Says to determine if the string is a palindrome, considering only alphanumeric characters, right? And ignoring cases. That's good. And it says for the purpose of this problem, we define an empty string as a valid palindrome, right? So I'm gonna run you guys through a couple examples of a palindrome, right? So a palindrome pretty much is you know uh, a word, uh, digit, numbers, or a phrase, a sentence, right, that can be read the same way forward and backwards, right? So yeah, so an example of a palindrome, right, a good one would be Hannah, right? Hannah is a good palindrome because, let me zoom in really quick, right? So Hannah is a good palindrome because, it can you can read it the same way forward and backwards, right? So you can go pretty much Hannah forward, right, going this way, or you could read Hannah forward backwards, going that way, right? Uh, as you guys can see, right, the why we can do that is because every character got a matching character, right? So H the same thing, right? A same thing, N with an N, right? So with a word that's even in length, right? So let's say this is even in length because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? There's 6 characters, so every character needs to have a matching character assigned to it, right? So let's say another example that we can have when, let's say, you got an odd length, a word that's odd in length, right? Like a race car, right? This one's also a palindrome because, you can read it the same way forward, right? Race car, and we could read it the same way backwards, race car, right? So you guys can see R, right, match, A match, C match, and the middle character doesn't need to have a matching character, right? Yeah, so because if you read it same way forward, same way backwards, right? So another example, right? So let's say let's go for a sentence, right? Nurses run, right? Nurses run, right? Uh that's a palindrome as well, right? The question tells us to ignore, uh, you know, like cases, like uppercase and lowercase, like and is the same thing, right? Also, we need to ignore like things like periods, right? And spaces, like exclamation points, semicolons, right? Ignore all those things, right? Only worry about the alphanumeric, right? Pretty much saying only worry about the digits and only worry about the letters, right? So with that in mind, right, we could simplify this to just, all right, so to check if this is a palindrome, right, all right, so get rid of that, right, because that's not important because I'm only worrying about the um, the letters or digits, right? So this one, right? So no, I'll leave that one in there, right? And then I would get them together, and then now I would check if every character matches, right? So I check N goes with this N, right? That's good. U goes with this U. R goes with that R, right? S goes with this S, right? And then we got this E, which is the middle element, which does not need to have a matching character, right? So this is a palindrome. So you see the way that I brought this down. So I brought it down to pretty much check, right? So pretty much, you saw how I brought this down to, just remove anything that's not a letter or digit, and also remove the spaces, right? So and put it into one word, and then we check all the characters to see if there's a matching one, right? If there's not a matching one, then you know that it's not a palindrome, right? Right. So we know, yeah, Gene is not a palindrome because N does not match with this J, so it's not a palindrome. So yeah, so So yeah, as you guys can see from this example, right? This is a palindrome, right? If you were to put ignore all the spaces, all the commas, right, and all the columns as well, right, and ignore all the cases, you would read the same this sentence the same way forward, right, and the same way backwards, right, and then that's why we return true. So I showed you guys this example with a smaller input, right? Nurses run was the sentence. Yeah, so erase car is also a palindrome, right? It's not a palindrome actually because not all the characters as a matching character, right? So that's why we return false, right? So yeah, with that in mind, guys, I wanna start writing the algorithm to really get you guys up to speed. So right now, the way we're gonna go about it, right? We're gonna do the initial check, right? If we're given an empty, right, like string, right, that's not good. We're gonna return true because it says in the prompt statement, if we're given an empty string, it is a valid palindrome. So that's why I'm returning true, right? So once we have that, now I'm gonna filter the array, right? Remember how I filtered nursing run, right? I remove all the spaces and I put everything into one word, right? So pretty much this is exactly what I'm gonna do right now, right? So let me do it real quick. So right now we got the empty string, right? It's gonna contain the filtered stuff, right? So now that we have that, we're gonna loop through the input string that's given to us, right? So the input string that's given to us is the S string, right? So now we're gonna loop through it, right? So pretty much we're gonna turn that into a char array so we can loop through all the characters in that string, right? So now that we have that, we're gonna do this check, right? So if this character, right, this character that we're currently on, is it a digit? Is it a letter? Or digit, right? So those are built-in like function that we can use. It can help us determine if a specific character is a letter or digit, right? So it's gonna return true or false, right? It's pretty convenient. So with that, once we know it is a letter or it is a digit, right? If it is a alphanumeric character, right? And I already explained what an alphanumeric is. Pretty much, is it a letter, or is it a digit, right? So now we append it to that string, right? That we're building. And then once we have that, now we loop through all the different characters, right? So now we're gonna put everything to lowercase, right? So the whole string's gonna come to lowercase, right? Because we're gonna ignore cases. So we could have made everything uppercase, or we could have made everything lowercase. So it doesn't matter. So I just happened to choose to make it lowercase, right? So once we have that now, we're gonna utilize a two-pointer technique, right, to check every character, right, from the beginning and from the end, right, and we're gonna work our way inwards and checking every one of them, right, and if at any point, right, we don't have a matching character, we're gonna return false, right? So we're gonna have those 2 pointers. So one that's called left, right? Left is gonna be pointing to the beginning character, right? And then one that's called right, that's gonna be pointing to the last element of that string, right? So now, guys, once we have that, we're gonna have this while loop, right? So while the left is less than the right, right? We're gonna keep checking at every iteration if the character, right? If the character on the left side is not equal to the character on the right side, right? Right? If it's not equal, then we're gonna return false, right? So once we have that, so if they're equal, then it's gonna skip this if statement and just go on to the next character. So we need to do left plus plus because we need to increment the left pointer, right? And then we decrement the right pointer to go on to the next character, and we're gonna work our way inwards, like I said. Right. So once we have that, if we never hit this if statement, then we're simply gonna return true. It is a palindrome because we didn't did not find a character that did not match, right? So now let's just check if our logic, really was good, right? So let's see if we pass the test cases. All right, so all right, we passed the small test case. Let's press submit to check all the test cases. All right, nice. We were able to pass all the test cases. That's perfect. So this is a very interesting problem, right? It's asked in a lot of interviews. I actually get this in numerous interviews that I've had. So make sure you guys know the concept, right? Most likely in the interviews you would be giving like a simple word, and you just gotta implement this part, which is the 2 pointer technique. One pointer at the beginning and 1 pointer at the end, and then you work your way inwards to check every character and make sure that they're a match, right? So pretty much like I said, guys. So let me run this example real quick. Nurses run, right? So it's pretty much the steps that are going on, right? So right now we get this string just to help us. That's gonna be the string that's gonna filter all the other the spaces, the semicolons, the commas, right? We're gonna ignore those, and we're gonna only append to the string, right? Only the character, only the alphanumeric characters, pretty much a letter or a digit, right? So this example, right? So for nurses run, right? We will only nurses run, right? We will only, right? So at this particular step, right? We comment it out, so it makes sense. So nurses run, right? So at this particular step, right? The new string that's the esters run. So now the next step, right? So now once we filtered so now the str, right? Once it's done over with, it's gonna be like that, right? Nurses run, right? Because only the letters and characters, the spaces gets ignored, right? So we have that, and then now at this line brings everything to lowercase, so it becomes everything lowercase now, right? So nurses run, right? So once we get that, now after we do that, those 2 things, right? We got a pointer pointing to n, and then one pointing to this end, right? The right points to that end, right? The last element of the string, right? The last character, right? And then this while loop pretty much check every character one at a time, right? So he checks every end, right? So left, right? And after that, right? They match, so it skips this if statement. Then you go to the left plus plus, right? Left goes to u now, and then right gets decremented by 1, right? So the right goes to this u, and then it keeps doing the same thing. It keeps checking, all right, do they equal, right? If they don't equal, then we return false, right? Then we keep doing the same thing, and we work our way inwards, and then we return true, right? If we never hit that if statement. So yeah, guys, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. Let me know any feedback in the comment section if I did a pretty good job at explaining this problem. And if you guys are new here, make sure you guys subscribe, because I'll be uploading a lot of more content like that, and I'll be explaining more. And I will only get better, guys. So make sure you guys subscribe. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.